Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? Thanks for attending our workshop. So, my name's Nalin. I lead a lot of our product efforts in Google Cloud around Web3. We've been building Web3 products and services since 2018, believe it or not, starting with BigQuery datasets. And we'll walk you through a few of the things that we're building. But we have datasets for over 40 different blockchains. We have faucets for a bunch of different test networks. We're building a lot of agentic access to these things as well. But one of the things we're really focused on is agents, agentic payments, and one of the big things is trust between agents. We think that's a big gap, so we'll get into that. I also have Goutham here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Goutham. I work on the engineering side for the Google Web3 team. We help to support a lot of different offerings like BigQuery, faucets, and we're excited to talk to you about ERC 8004, which is a really exciting ERC, especially in this space of agentic commerce, in the future of it.
So the way we're going to structure this today is we'll talk about the product, like why trust matters among agents, how 8004 is really a great solution for trust, and then how you can get access to that 8004 data using BigQuery. It's because we have all of the Ethereum data from Genesis to the tip of the chain indexed in BigQuery. And then we'll walk you through some live like SQL queries and how you can pull that data out. And we'll talk about like what a winning application might look like. So we're offering $5,000 cash prize to the winner. Like right now, agents are doing more and more, right? We're giving them more autonomy. They're able to now purchase and interact with other agents. But it's really hard to give more and more trust or autonomy to these agents unless you know like who you're dealing with, right? If agents, I don't know about you guys, but I envision a world where agents are going to delegate to agents that are going to delegate to more agents, right? And real-time markets are going to be created on the fly, these kinds of things. In that world, it's important to know who you're working with, or at least have some idea of the reputation around this agent. And we have a lot of different standards and protocols that have come about, like MCP, obviously. Everyone's using MCP to talk to different tools and services. We have A to A, so Google worked on an agent-to-agent protocol, which standardizes communication between agents. But one of the things that's still missing is this like trust piece here, right? And just give me 1 second here. I'm actually on the wrong slide deck, so I'm just going to back up here for a minute. If you want to take me off for a second, I apologize. Give me a second here. It's going to look very different, but it's going to be awesome. All right. We can get started again. All right. Dark mode for everybody. All right. So as I was talking about, like we have different ways of communicating between agents and services and agents. So we know like how to do that, but how do you actually trust an agent across organizational boundaries, right? If your agent's going to hire something else. Within your organization, this isn't a problem. Your agents can talk to other agents. You trust them inherently. But if you're going to go to third-party agents, you actually need an answer for this, right? And so 8004 bridges that gap by establishing 3 different pieces here. So identity, who is this agent, right? So we'll dive deep into these, but basically it's issuing an NFT to the agent, which then you can verify with. Reputation, so allowing anybody to leave feedback on an agent and its quality and score it. And then validation, and this is still a work in progress, but how do you prove that the agent did the work that it says it's going to do, or at least have a ZK proof or some verifiable way to know like the usage of this agent over time, right? And we built this 8004 standard with a collaboration between MetaMask, Ethereum Foundation, and Coinbase. And it's been live on the Ethereum mainnet since Jan 29. And it's on a bunch of other chains. And if you go to the GitHub repo, you can see all of the different chains that it's live on. So the first part of this is identity, right? How do you manage that? So we have a mechanism here where you call a register event on this smart contract. And when you do that, you basically submit some key pieces of data about your agent, which I'll walk through on the second slide here. And what happens in the background is an NFT gets minted, it gets associated with your agent, and you get an agent ID. And then you're able to use that ID going forward to prove who you are. Obviously, you can hold the NFT, so only the wallet that called this register event will hold that NFT, and it'll prove that it's the owner of this agent. So if we look a little bit more deeply into like what that file looks like, is it's a name, a description, and then the most important part are these services, right? So it's like the endpoints with which you access this agent. So it could be your A to A endpoint. If you have like an MCP server on top of it, it could be that. You're also able to mark whether this supports X402, whether it's active, and then like what trust models it supports, reputation being the primary one. This registrations field is actually something that happens post-registration, and it updates the agent URI, but you don't submit with that. You submit with all these other pieces. And you get back an agent ID and a global identifier from the registry. So that's the first part, in establishing an identity. The second part is reputation, right? So there's a contract method called give feedback, where you pass in an agent ID, a pairing of values and the decimal places, and then tags. So this is meant to be open-ended right now because it's still very early. We felt like it didn't make sense to be very prescriptive about which tags to support. But you know, like for example, you can do things like a star rating, the uptime rating, response times, things like that. And now, when you give a feedback to an agent that you've been working with, other people are able to look at that because it's on chain and it's public. So it's some construct for establishing a reputational system for your agents. And we'll leave a lot of time at the end of this for questions and answers if you have any. So that's the second part. The third part is still very much being worked on, but the idea is that you could request a proof or validate that this agent, by giving in an ID, a URI, and like a validator and a hash, that this agent did the work that it said it was going to do, right? So a third-party validator would prove that, and there's different ways you can score that. And so this is still being worked on. This is not really part of the spec. There's no registry for this yet. If you have ideas, I think that would be a cool thing to work on, although it's not really part of the bounty, if you will. But it's something that needs work and that we're looking for collaborators on. So if you have strong ideas about how to do this proof of work, let us know. These are the different smart contracts on the Ethereum mainnet for the identity registry and the reputation registry. They're two different smart contracts that you can look at. And from our prize page, this is all linked, as well as the sample queries that we're going to go through in a second here. And so what we have available for you guys to use is our BigQuery Ethereum data set, right? So this is from Genesis to the tip of the chain, available to you. It's as a public good. It's not free per se, but we do have a generous free tier of 1 terabyte a month. And anybody who's entering this track will issue a $1,000 coupon to build over the course of this weekend. It'll actually extend, I think, for a few weeks past that, maybe for a month. You can check with us at the booth, and I can give you an exact time frame. But we don't want you to spend a lot of money, obviously, building for the hackathon, so we're giving you a $1,000 coupon. You probably don't even need to use a lot of that, frankly, because we give you a terabyte for free, and that should be sufficient for a lot of this. But we have the full Ethereum, all of the data. You're only going to be looking at a subset of it for this purposes of this hackathon if you enter this track, which is the 8004 data, which is why we listed these smart contracts. I'll go really quick on how to do this because it's not always obvious. You do have to set up a Google Cloud ID or account. It does require a billing ID, so you have to associate it with some form of payment. But we're going to give you a coupon that you'll add by going to this URL. And then you can go to our Web3 portal and find our Ethereum data set. And then from there, you can open up BigQuery Studio and start querying. And Goutham's going to show you how to do that in just a few minutes here. But we made it pretty easy to get access to this 8004 data. So, yeah, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Nalin. So we have a couple queries here to kind of demonstrate. And Nalin, if it's possible, it might be good to show it on BigQuery, right? So if you guys go to the prize card, there's actually a link to the BigQuery product. And if we go there...
Oh, let's go to the... Yeah, let's
we
go
can go
through
to the
that.
card. Yep. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you should see a link for, BigQuery Ethereum dataset. So this kind of shows the documentation of like what these fields are. So we're going to go to Ethereum mainnet. Yep.
And then you click on View Dataset. These are internal URLs. Don't worry about those. Yours will say console.cloud.google.com. Mm-hmm. And these are the different tables available to you.
Yep. And if you want to know what the fields are, if you go up to the supported datasets, the middle tab, like the tab.
No. You want to just come over here?
Oh, yeah, sure. All good. I'm stepping in. So if you want to know about the documentation of what these mean, you can click on here to understand what these fields represent.
They're also inline in the schema itself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then you click on details. Oh, maybe schema. You're right. Maybe the documentation's the best place to go.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's say you wanted to filter through. So this one says registration per day. So
those are the number of agents that registered themselves as an agent using the identity registry.
Correct. We're just going to let it run, for example. So now we have like a row of the number of new agents that have been registered. So given that this ERC was made back was released back in January of 29, there's obviously a lot of new agents that got registered here. And we can see through here. Another really good one to check out is the second one, decoding a registered event. So if we go here. And also, all of these queries, you don't have to take a picture of this, but all of these queries can be found here in this gist with comments explaining.
From the prize page.
From the prize page, yep. But going over here. So this one shows a row of like agent ID, the owner of that ID, and then the agent URI. So the agent URI can either be like a file link of where a directory of where it's pointed to, or it can also be base 64, typically if it's on chain. So, we can do that. I think it'd be fun to do a base 64 one, just a random one.
Go for it.
Yeah. And another way to also look at this too, actually, is if you go to the contracts, right? We have one for. Oh, this is the ETHGlobal page. We'll get that fixed. ERC 8004 GitHub. Yep. And we can click on, obviously we've got a bunch of data sets, but the one we want to focus on is the Ethereum mainnet for identity and registries, which is what Nalin was talking about. And you can actually see like the identity contract. And one thing you can do is you can click on these transaction hash, look at for more details, and actually like be able to decode some of the input data. So maybe we could do view through decoder and kind of see like, oh, okay, this is a agent ID, and this is sort of the string that's associated with that. So that's another way of looking at it as well too. Let's see. Another query you can do is reputational leaderboard. So I'll let.
So this is the other smart contract that manages reputation.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see that. Yep. So we have an agent ID, and then we have the feedback count associated with it, along with the unique clients and like the average score associated with them, for validity, for ranking purposes. And then the last query that would be good to know is X4 to join. So I will just do the raw. And hit run. Yep, and this will show us the agent ID associated with the agent URI, the average score associated with it, but ideally also whether it's on-chain, off-chain, and whether it's X402 supported. So you can actually filter whether it's true or false, whether an agent has X402 support or not. So if I hit descending.
So there's like 3 values, null, true, and false.
Yeah. So, but yeah, these are some pretty useful queries to find. Which we have saved on here.
And if you need help with any of these, we're at the booth. You can come and talk to us. We can walk you through these. Let's see. I think there's a few other things here. Just a little bit more details on the price. Thanks, Goutham. Yep. It's $5,000 cash, not credits on Google Cloud or anything. You actually get dollars. And we're looking for, applications that leverage the data set. The ones that leverage like the reputation data as well as the identity from the smart contracts. So like pulling that data out and then some sort of front end on top of it. That's not required, but it's always nice to visualize those things. So maybe like an Explorer is one example, analytics to see what's happening over time, different ways to slice and dice that data. And then, more information about which ones support X402 and what they're doing, right? Then you can, once you know it supports X402, then you can do more downstream queries and figure out how many transactions they've done and the volumes there. And so those are just some of the ideas, but you can really build anything you want. I think I'll be there on Sunday morning judging, so excited to see what you guys are building. And if you want to brainstorm some things, I'm at the booth. We'll open it up to some questions. Let me see if there's anything else here. There's a bunch of resources here. I think most of these are linked from the prize page on the portal, inside the ETHGlobal, portal. So check it out. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer questions right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for building 8004.
You're welcome.
What are your plans on monetizing it?
I don't think there's a plan to monetize 8004, right? It's meant to be an open registry. We want agents to get adoption. We want more agents being built. We feel like probably you'll use some form of Gemini if you build agents, or maybe you'll host them on Google Cloud, right? So that's our goal, but there's no direct monetization plan here.
There aren't currently official data sets for Base and PSP currently, correct?
I believe there are. Yeah, the question was, are there official data sets for Base and BNB? Let me just check the 8004 GitHub.
Like, I knew the protocols is deployed in them. I just didn't know the BigQuery had data sets.
Oh, got you. I think we have Base available as a data set.
Yeah.
If you don't see it, come let me know and I'll help you there. Okay. I'm not sure about BNB. That's a good question. But I believe we have Base. Yes. What is 8004? So I think what the payload which you register with is like the name, the description, and then the key things are the service endpoints, right? So if you tell me like, oh, you're this agent, one, I can verify that you are the owner of that agent because that's a part of the registration event, right? It gets emitted is the owner's wallet address and the agent ID. Then I can look up what the service URLs are and I can make calls to those service URLs. Does that make sense? Okay, well, let's talk about it after, maybe at the booth. Yes?
I'm curious, like, when you're indexing of 8004,
Yeah.
have you seen any interesting agent patterns? Like, what do you do after?
No, we haven't had anybody build a cool analytics explorer, so that's the job. That's what we're paying $5,000 for. Yes. Yeah, so the idea is if you're interacting with an agent that's registered, I think there's a dependency that it's registered in the identity registry, then you can go ahead and leave feedback for it based on your experience with it, so other people can leverage that, right? The reputation right now, like we have some examples that people are using, like stars and latency and things like that, but really you can leave feedback on any facet. Like we've left that open-ended. So depending on what that agent does, it might be interesting to leave feedback on different aspects of it. And so we intentionally left that open. But we think, over time there'll be like certain things that people use, and more standardization around that. Maybe the standard evolves itself to like accommodate the mainstream use cases. It's just so early right now, like it's hard to know what to make as the values. No, we're not breaking up the judging or the criteria based on verticals, but you're more than welcome to do that. If you want to find, like, categorize and index all of the agents based on their descriptions, I think that'd be a really cool thing to do. Yeah, I think right now, I don't know if there's a good answer to that. Technically, anybody can leave feedback. So I don't think that part has been solved. I think that's maybe leads into that third piece that hasn't been figured out yet, which is actually the validation of what work was actually done, right? And then the combination of those two things can actually lead to a stronger signal.
One thing you could technically do is if there are unique identifier fields, like filter for one. So if if there's like a repeating actor that's just like potentially spamming, you could like filter by that as a way. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah.
If part of the vision is to index agents' behavior and the future of what happens in AI, are there behaviors outside of agents in the cluster of AI, or is it mostly agents?
That's a good question. I think this particular spec was built with agents in mind, but you make a good point that the scope of AI and reputation probably goes beyond agents. So yeah, maybe that's, feel free to contribute to the spec. We know the right people to talk to. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, Amelia's in the back there. She'll be working on the booth and can help you get coupon codes. I can help you get coupon codes. So come talk to us. One more question over here.
Oh, yeah. I'm just curious about how you guys think about privacy as an enterprise company. I just saw, the Twitter is on fire about, Gemini and who's using it for, various stuff right now.
I'm not sure I'm not familiar with what you're talking about, so I probably shouldn't speak on it, but I'm happy to talk about it at the booth. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for coming. I hope you participate, and looking forward to what you guys build.